back to the 13 Breaks of Halloween. I'm Adam J. Well, Halloween's finally upon us, and these videos still aren't done because, fuck my life. For those who don't know, I've actually reviewed every single Halloween film on this channel. This is a series I followed ever since I was a kid. Some of these I love, some of these I find mediocre, and some of these I just outright loathe. So we're going to take a look back at all of them here today. Here's my ranking of the Halloween series. Coming in at last place for me, and I'm sure that this is going to piss a lot of people off out there, but it's Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. And no, this isn't a bit. I'm not joking. I'm dead fucking serious. I hate this movie. Hates this movie with a burning passion. Back in the day when I started the review of all the Halloween sequels, when I got to this film, I almost stopped reviewing them altogether because this film just pissed me off that fucking much. And for those of you who haven't seen the review, I did review both cuts of the film. Both the theatrical version and the producer's cut, and I hated both of them. This is the film where we find out that Michael was controlled by a cult the whole time. A couple of stones on the floor can apparently stop him in his tracks. Oh, and yeah, Michael raped and impregnated his 14-year-old niece. This is the one everyone loves. This is the one everyone defends. What the fuck? This is a sickening and disturbing film, and not in the good way. It is not scary in the slightest, the characters aren't the least bit interesting, and the explanation they give for Michael's killings over the years is beyond forced. Yeah, it's not enough for him to just be the human embodiment of all evil or the boogeyman. Fuck all that shit. He has to be the victim of some retard cult, and my god, I don't care. Paul Rudd was introduced in this movie as Tommy Doyle and is one of the most annoying asshats I've ever seen on film. They try to make him a younger, more hipper version of Loomis, and it does not work. He's just a smug and creepy jackass. So what have we learned here? Well, you come across a guy named Tommy in part 6 of a franchise, take him out. But I think what pisses me off the most is how Donald Pleasence went out in this series. Keep in mind that this man loved playing Sam Loomis and happily came back for as many times as he could up until his death. The people making this movie knew that he was dying. So naturally, instead of having this brilliant actor go out with dignity, the last thing we hear this man utter on screen is him screaming in pain like a little girl. Yeah, you guys totally gave this legendary actor the send-off he deserved. Go fuck yourselves. You guys can hate me all you want. This is the worst film in the series to me. This is the only one I had no fun reviewing back in the day, to the point where I almost stopped reviewing altogether, and it remains one of the absolute worst films I've ever seen. This movie go to hell! It go to hell and it died! Coming in at number 10 for me is Halloween Resurrection. Now, this movie doesn't just piss me off because it's an ungodly, boring waste of time, although that certainly doesn't help its case. This movie pisses me off because it takes the absolute biggest dump on Halloween H2O, just from the mere fact that it exists at all. Halloween H2O offered a perfect ending to the Halloween series, as well as one of the best ending showdowns I've ever seen. This movie, through a series of events that make no sense when you give them more than half a second's thought, says, screw that ending. The hell with all of Laurie Strode's character development in the last film. Who needs the son of Laurie Strode that we spent the entirety of the last film setting up? Just bring in a bunch of random idiots, throw them in a house, and we'll do that Blair Witch thing for 90 minutes. Why? Who cares? You'll pay to see it. Fuck you. This movie has no interesting characters. It kills off Laurie at the very beginning, it offers nothing new, it craps on a franchise that had already ended well, and it's just boring. I mean, you'll be hard-pressed to find another film in this series that will put you to sleep faster. Okay, maybe part 5, but we'll get to that in a minute. There's really nothing in this film I can recommend. While it's not the worst film in this series to me, I will say this, it's the most pointless film in this series to me. Why did this have to be made?
Hello, Michael. I knew you'd come sooner or later. What took you so long?
Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. While it's not as pointless, aimless, or needless as Halloween Resurrection, I have almost the same problems with this film.
Sorry if you guys could hear that noise.
It's boring, there's a ton of cheap fake-outs, the new characters are bland and annoying, and not interesting at all.
I'll be back.
And like Resurrection, it dumps on the film that came before it. Halloween 4 ended up one of the best cliffhangers I've ever seen. While not entirely conclusive, had they actually ended the series after part 4, I would have been 100% okay with that. Especially when you factor in the 2 abortions that came directly after. So how does Halloween 5 handle that film's ending? With a cheap cop-out that just brings Michael Myers back after his story had already ended. I, for one, would love to thank Jason Lives for pioneering this cheap-ass concept. You're a delight.
I'm picking up your sarcasm.
Well, I hope so, because I'm laying it on pretty damn thick. Rachel is killed off in the first 30 minutes. Jamie Lloyd is a mute for most of the movie and has some weird psychic link with Michael. The Myers house now looks like the Manson family hideout for some reason. And Dr. Loomis acts like a psycho for most of the movie, terrorizing a little girl in a hospital, and later using her as bait for Michael Myers. Oh yeah, that's the Loomis we all know and love. But the worst thing about this movie is Tina. Oh, God in heaven, Tina. This character was Rachel's replacement. I challenge you to find a more annoying character in this series. It cannot be done. Her voice, her attitude, her personality, her laugh, literally everything about this character made me want to shoot her in the damn face. While Danielle Harris gives a fine performance while barely speaking a word, there's not much else in this movie to recommend. It's just a bad sequel, plain and simple. And number 8 for me is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Now, look, I understand this movie has gained kind of a little following in the past decade. So, let me try to play devil's advocate here. While I didn't like the new direction he tried taking this series in, I gotta give Zombie a little respect for at least trying something different. Again, I didn't like anything he did differently, but there was at least some effort, which is more than I can say for the 3 films I just discussed. Lastly, I liked Danielle Harris and Brad Dourif a lot in this movie. Then again, Danielle Harris is great in anything, and it's great to see her in any Halloween film, no matter how bad. And that's about all the praise I got for this movie, because, I'm sorry, to me the rest of this film was hot garbage. The gore is just overkill. The movie isn't at all scary. Almost every other word out of every character's mouth is fuck. Laurie Strode has become a horrible human being who treats the best friend who took her in like absolute crap. The ending is a ripoff of Psycho, and there's something about Sherry Moon Zombie and a white horse in there too. Now, as I said, I understand that Zombie wanted to take the series in a new direction, but I didn't like the new direction he took. Annie and Sheriff Racket are the only 2 likable characters in this entire film. Everyone else in this direct is absolutely despicable. I wanted Laurie Strode dead within the first half hour. Dr. Loomis is a scumbag who's let fame go to his head. All of Laurie's new friends are random nothings that I don't care about. I know a few people who do enjoy the movie for taking the risk that it did, but for me, this is a typical splatterfest, with unlikable leads, unnecessary amounts of gore, a cynical tone, and a mess of nonsensical plot points that don't amount to a damn thing.
Kill her, baby.
At number 7 for me is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Now, for the record, when I reviewed this back in the day, I had never met a single person who liked this movie. Ever. Like, I had no idea that a cult following was slowly but surely rising up for this movie. In addition, I made it emphatically clear in my review that I did not hate this movie for excluding Michael Myers. So when I released the review, I had no idea of the negative backlash that my ass was in for. Like, if you go to my review of Season of the Witch, almost every comment is a negative comment. And the messed up thing is, a lot of the people who commented must not have watched the damn review, because most of them accused me of just hating the movie for not having Michael Myers, when I said the exact opposite in the video. Wow. Listen, if you like this film, more power to you, but I'm sorry, I still don't. And for the exact same reasons I stated in my review 7 years ago. I love the concept of the anthology series. I liked the premise of the movie, but the execution was piss poor across the damn board. There are so many logic issues with this film. The lead character is a creepy womanizing asshat. Ellie is an annoying female lead who does nothing and adds nothing. And worst of all, the movie is just boring. I didn't give a rat's ass about the two main characters, and by the time the villain's plan was revealed, I was beyond caring. I like the idea of going back to the roots of Halloween. You know, Sam Hain and the witchcraft. That's all wonderful. The problem is, the script that they built around this concept was garbage. I found the score distracting, and that Silver Shamrock song, Can Go Die in a Blazing Inferno. Oh my God in heaven. Tom Atkins does his best with what he's given. Dan O'Hurley, he is enjoyably over the top in a couple scenes, but none of that compensates for a movie that had me looking at my watch every 10 minutes. So sorry guys, I'm able to turn myself around with some movies, but this is one I'm not watching again anytime soon. Stop it!
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, the night no one comes home.
And number 6 for me is Rob Zombie's Halloween. Now, I reviewed this last year, so I'll try to be brief with this one. It's a film that has a ton of problems. It isn't perfect, but there were several things that I genuinely enjoyed. Rob Zombie, at John Carpenter's request, made Halloween his own. He reimagined Halloween as exploitation horror, which is what the director is known for. He ditches all of the subtle atmosphere of the original, instead opting for a more visceral and in-your-face approach, which pissed a lot of fans off and admittedly pissed me off the first time I saw it. However, if Zombie had just tried to copy Carpenter, we probably would have gotten something more akin to the remake of Psycho, where, everything from the original was just created shot for shot. We didn't want that. As a remake of Halloween, this is a mixed bag. I think the opening with Child Michael outside of 1 or 2 kills is pretty insufferable. I did not care about anyone in Michael's family and did not care when any of them died. The stuff with young Michael in the asylum with Loomis is fairly interesting, although it could have been expanded upon more. The second half of the film is more or less a remake of the original, with a more brutal edge. And for what it is, it's really not that bad. The actors to play these roles are good choices, some of the recreated scenes are inventive and cool, and the film smartly introduces the twist of Laurie being Michael's sister early so that it doesn't come off as forced in a sequel. Halloween 2007 is kind of a mixed bag. It's not a great film, but if you're looking for a more brutal version of the original classic, I'd say give this a watch. And number 5 for me is Halloween 2018. Now, everyone lost their shit for this movie last year. And as for me, I liked it. I didn't love it. I just liked it. As you can tell from its placement on this list, I do hold it in higher regard than a lot of these movies. But I do not consider it the best sequel. Like, not even close. It's not even close at all. I actually just reviewed this movie in more detail with Cinematic Venom on his channel. I'll leave the link below. Be sure to check that out if you want my full thoughts. Here I'll just give you the highlights. Halloween 2018 was yet another attempt
I'm busy making a video.
after the failure of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. It was a direct sequel to
I'm
the first film,
busy.
ignoring all subsequent sequels. It attempted to bring back the feel of the first movie, and while it did that to a fault, so many things felt forced. Halloween is a film on the right track with what it wants to do and what it wants to be. The ideas are all there, and some of them do work very well, but some of the execution of these ideas are very sloppy. For a film that was hyping up a badass Jamie Lee Curtis, she's really not in it that often. In terms of being a reunion film, I actually think there's another film on this list that was a lot more satisfying by pretty much doing the same thing. The moments with Laurie and Michael in this are just a little too forced for me. It really has no atmosphere to speak of, and the film spends way too much time building up subplots and characters that either go nowhere or just feel superfluous. Again, good ideas, just sloppy execution. I still maintain that the granddaughter could have been cut from this film, and the movie would have been all the better for it. She was useless. But when the film gets something right, it gets it right. Jamie Lee Curtis gives a brilliant performance. I would argue it's the best she's given since H2O. Michael admittedly is the most frightening he's been since the original, and the nostalgia factor is in full effect here. These things are enough to make me recommend this film. It's definitely one of the better sequels. Not the best, but still a good effort to bring Michael Myers back to us in full force. So definitely give this one a watch if you haven't. Just don't forget about the past either.
He is a killer, but he will be killed tonight. Happy Halloween, Michael.
At number 4 for me is the original Halloween 2.